Joining me on the program now is Elizabeth Barcohana. She is a California GOP Associate Delegate. Elizabeth, welcome to the show. GOP, that means red, that means Republican, that means conservative, and you're out there in Los Angeles. You've got a tough job, my friend. How you doing today?
Yes, we do. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on the show, on the program today. I'm great. We're down to the wire, and there is so much enthusiasm. I'm really excited. We're doing great.
So, Elizabeth, when I think of California, I'm 38 years old, and I'm a New York State guy. So I think of California, I think of New York, I think of the left coast and the East Coast and, the elites and big money and Hollywood, and I think of liberals, right? The Beach Boys, the Vietnam War, Hollywood, celebrities. That's what I think of when I think of California. There has been some talk out there, some things happening that MAGA land and conservatives are gaining some ground in California. But give us the update. Could we ever, you're a young woman there yourself, could we ever see California turn, dare I say, red?
Well, California used to be red. And so nothing is static in politics. California used to be red. In Los Angeles, we used to have a Republican mayor. We had a Republican district attorney. When I was younger, Governor Schwarzenegger was the governor. He was he was Republican then. Today, I don't know if he would call himself that, but right now, our enthusiasm is very electric. When in-person voting started over the weekend on Saturday in LA County, all the charts just did like a hockey stick up. And so that was what we were waiting for. A lot of people are very reluctant to vote early and to vote by mail. So a lot of the push that we've been making is to make people feel secure in our election process, the way to check your ballot using ballottracks.net, things like that. So our turnout numbers right now are within striking distance if we can increase our turnout. Republicans, for example, statewide are only behind by 900,000 votes. And to give you context, 800,000 Republicans in LA County alone have not voted yet as of today.
So guys like me, Elizabeth, I live here in Arizona. I love this state. It's such a beautiful place. We have a saying out here, and it's "Don't California my Arizona," right? We have a lot of people from your state moving here, and you say, yeah, come here, you can invest, bring your tax dollars, all that stuff. Just remember why you left. And a lot of people, a lot of Republican voters out here, when you bring up California, they kind of laugh and they say, oh, it's crime, and they're it's the homeless, and everybody is breaking into these stores, and they're just walking out with upwards of $5,000 or whatever it is worth of merchandise, and it's like a hellscape. Obviously, that stuff is overblown. Obviously, you're there safe and sound, and there's not syringes everywhere. But California has really had its challenges since COVID. So what is going on there to where I understand you're here to deliver a positive message today from the California GOP, but why isn't the message more positive? I mean, if California is really so bad, why don't voters in your state start voting with an alternative, and that would be Republicans?
There's two reasons for that, and you'll see it in the people who move into red states. One is they're not making the connections between the reasons why they are leaving California and moving to a red state. They're not making the connections to policy. That's number one. So there's a messaging problem there with that. And the second reason is that Republicans in California for a long time have been very demoralized for a host of reasons. And one of the reasons that I am getting involved is because we have no reason to really be demoralized. We have the most number of Republicans of any state in the nation. Los Angeles County has the most Republicans of any county in the nation. California has the most swing congressional districts in the nation. There are 9 or 10 of them here. And also in Sacramento, Republicans are targeting more seats than the Democrats are. And registration over the past year has increased for the Republicans in every county in every reporting period. So we are definitely on the come up here. And I think the more that message gets out, I'm seeing it just in this cycle. This is my first cycle as being part of the party. When I communicate that message to people, it really resonates. People don't know that about California. Laura Trump was the speaker at the California Party convention earlier this year, and she said that their MAGA merchandise sales, the highest state, come from California. So there are enough of us here to make a huge impact. Whether we can turn the state in one cycle or two cycles or three, time will tell. But the key is in the turnout, and that is in the individual voters' hands. I can't drive everyone to the polls. They need to show up early so that we don't overload the system on election day and wind up with problems and no time to correct them.
So in politics, as you know, Elizabeth, perception is everything. And then eventually what happens? Perception becomes reality. The perception around the country, especially with Republicans, is that, like I said, California, the crime, the border issue, the illegals, all the lockdowns during COVID-19. And we get to your Governor Newsom. When Joe Biden stepped down from his campaign, and we had that little period in there where we weren't sure who was going to be the nominee. And it was like, 30 seconds, right? And before they queened Kamala Harris, a lot of people, a lot of Democrats said it's going to be Governor Newsom. A lot of Republicans on and off the air on this program told me we're most afraid of Governor Newsom. He looks the part. He's charismatic. He's very handsome. He knows politics. He debated Governor DeSantis, and he held his own. This guy is a celebrity. This guy is a political celebrity rock star, a.k.a. Barack Obama. But from normal Republicans across the country, they say, that guy can never win. He's the governor of California. That place is hell. So boots on the ground, what is the perception of Governor Newsom in your state?
He is very unpopular here. He's very unpopular even among Democrats because he can't solve the problems that everybody sees need to be solved immediately. Homelessness is an example of that. No matter how much money we pump into the system to solve homelessness, somehow it just keeps getting worse. And then they lose track of billions of dollars. And now we have on the ballot multiple measures to keep funding homelessness initiatives. And he's on TV. He just did a press conference yesterday with a bunch of mayors from around the state. I mean, he's going down in flames on issue after issue. He's driving businesses out of the state, picking fights with Elon Musk and Chevron and things like that. My personal assessment of why Governor Newsom wasn't pushed forward as the nominee. I mean, there are multiple reasons for that. One is funding. It had to be Kamala Harris. But another is, I think they thought from the beginning that this was a losing proposition. The presidency, I think they surrendered the presidency after that first debate, and that Kamala Harris is their sacrifice. And they did not want to dirty Gavin Newsom by being associated with a loser. Yeah. Which is also why I think he didn't have a prominent speaking role at their DNC, and that he's keeping his distance physically and as a matter of policy from her campaign.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
I tend to agree with you. It's very interesting, but I try to compliment the guy, and he is very charismatic, and he's excellent in interviews, and he goes on with Sean Hannity, and he really does. He does a good job, and he holds his own. But then I speak to people like you, Republicans and Democrats, who are just citizens of California, and they're like, the guy's terrible. I mean, the guy hasn't done anything. All this money, homelessness, et cetera, and all the extreme policies that we see in our country, where do they start? They start in California under his watch.
That's right.
So I just don't see how the Democrats all of a sudden think that the country's that stupid that we're going to go for a president that's been the head of, one of the most important, if not the most important state in America, and has really turned it to crap?
Well, in their defense, so is Kamala Harris. She's from California. She was our sitting senator. Before that, she was attorney general, and she was personally responsible. Personally, she was the attorney general when she passed this Prop 47. I don't know if you know what that is out there in Arizona, but that's one of the propositions that basically, decriminalized crime, the retail crime, the drug crime. And so, after 10 years, finally, after our politicians in Sacramento wouldn't really do anything to roll that back until this year because they were afraid of what's going to happen in November, we put a proposition on the ballot that's going to pass by over 70%. That's what we're undoing, something Kamala Harris did 10 years ago. But look at how she's doing. It's still a tight race. As far as, we can see in the returns, we don't really know exactly what's going to happen in November. Nobody does.
Well, we don't know, and I think it's a coin flip right now, to be frank with you, Elizabeth. And we'll finish up with this. You've got people, you mentioned Elon Musk, ties to California, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, all of these people that were former Democrats that have now flipped to Republican, and it's kind of become this party of unity. I mean, Elon Musk, he had a lot, if you go back and read articles, he had a lot of bad things to say about conservatives. RFK Jr., obviously, he was a Democrat, then he was an independent, and now he's on like Team Trump. I don't know what happened there. And then Tulsi, another one, a Democrat that has flipped as of a couple days ago. She's an official Republican now, a woman that I think that will be and should be running for president someday. When we see the post-Trump world happen, and that will happen whether he wins or loses, the post-Trump world, and there's somebody like a Tulsi or somebody like an RFK at the top of the ticket, do you think that that's when finally it happens? Finally, California could vote for a Republican president?
Maybe. I think that California is trending in the right direction for all of the reasons that I've stated. I mean, it takes time to build back up your registration numbers when they've been neglected for so long. It takes time to reinvigorate your base after they've been demoralized for so long. And it takes time, these narratives that are just not true. It takes time to break those down. And it's, the fact that we say we're so outnumbered. We say that to ourselves. We do that to ourselves and suppress our own vote. And my message to all of the conservatives in California, even the independent voters who are not registered Republicans like I was, up until a few years ago, is that we do have the numbers. We just don't show up when it counts. And so that's the message that everybody really needs to hear.
You got to show up, California. Get out there to vote. Elizabeth Barcohana, we have a couple of mutual friends in this world, and I understand that you were one of those pissed off ladies that got really upset during COVID, and you were just a mom out there, and all of a sudden here you are in politics, one of the rising stars. I wish you the best of luck. It can't be easy being in the Republican Party, the GOP in the state of California. It just cannot be easy. It's a grind. It's a fight. But you are in the fight, and that's what matters. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Absolutely. Anytime.